Alrighty then. So we're just going to share the whole thing. And so these are the courses that, like I said, I just created these so that we can run this test. And so I'm going to bring up the first one here. Um, this course is one of the courses that was migrated by K-16. Okay. And so what you're going to see, and if you cannot see my screen, please let us know. But what you should see is as soon as you are on the course homepage, the very first page, down the right side menu, there is a new button there that says check accessibility, and it's got the little person in a circle icon here. And so it's this easy. We're going to click check accessibility, and it's going to come up and it says, oh, you haven't scanned this one yet. And so you can hit the blue button on the side and say scan this course to check. Now, if you have a very, very large course that has lots of media, this might take a few minutes to run this accessibility checker. You can actually leave the course, do other work, and come back to this, and it will still be running or it will still be available as soon as it's there. But I'm just going to it shouldn't take that long. Here we go. Here we go. So this is and I don't want anybody to panic if you get one of these, but this is the course accessibility checker, okay? And it's going to tell you exactly what type of issues you have. There's headings that are missing. There's 2 pages that have text contrast. There's some tables that are not captioned correctly. But before everybody goes, oh no, 108 issues, that's crazy. This is going to take me forever to fix it. It's actually not. So the first thing I want everybody to notice is the very first thing in this with a migrated course is the migration exception log that comes over from K-16. That is not a published page. You don't have to do anything to that page. It is not public facing, not published, not available to students. So those 99 issues on that page are really, they're things that are informational for you, but you don't have to do anything for that. The other thing I want you to see is all the pages that have no issues at all. And you can scroll through all of those. Any page with issues is going to come up on the front page. Lastly, I want to point out you can click and go directly to the page, or you can choose to fix it right here. And so when you click the fix button here, this is going to tell you exactly what the issue is. There is a missing heading here. Okay, and it says the heading has more than one level below it, so it should follow in logical order. Now, I'm going to tell you what's happened in this particular case is somebody has hit the enter button several times under instructor bio, and so they're just blank lines. But that doesn't matter. It's still easy to fix. I can just click fix heading level, reformat. It made no change because, like I said, that was just a bunch of blank lines, and hit save and next. And then it's going to take me to the next issue. Same thing again. The instructor information has a bunch of blank lines under it. So I'm just going to say go ahead and reformat that, save and next. Now, I have fixed all my accessibility issues with this course. It was that easy. And so all of the courses are different. Some of you will have different types of issues. You can have text contrast issues, and we're going to look at those too. So I want to make this as easy as possible for you guys. So that's why I wanted to check like 3 different courses just so you could see this. We're going to click that check accessibility, run our accessibility scan. And you can do this more than once as well. If you fix your accessibility issues and then you make some changes to the course as the term goes on, and maybe then you copy it into the spring course, you can go ahead and update the report and run the accessibility checker again. And again, this is a migrated course. Okay, so the first thing here, the migration exception log does not apply to us, and we don't have to do anything with that. But we do have a page here that has some issues, and it says there are 21 issues on here. Looks like he's missing some alt text. Looks like there's some text contrasts. There's some tables, etc. So again, I'm just going to fix it. I'm going to choose to fix this. Now, this is a problem area because I can't see what this image conveys. This is where you would need to be the instructor in the class because there's really nothing that I could do for you to fix this because I can't see the image. And so I'm going to skip this one because I'm not the instructor in this class and I can't see the image. But yes, it appears in this aviation course that we're in that some of these images did not come through. So this is something the instructor is going to have to take a look at and make sure he gets his images in there correctly because I'm not seeing any of them. Yeah, see here? All of these images did not get migrated with the K16 migration. So it looks like this instructor is going to have just a little bit more to do with this because these images aren't there. And I'm checking everything. I'm going to roll through and fix as many things as I can in this one. This is the same thing. This says it's a table. It's really, it does not appear to be a table. It looks like he's got a bunch of blank lines there again. But I'm gonna caption it because he has a name for it. And it will just add a caption to the table. It doesn't hurt to do that. And so I'll save and next. There's another image that's a problem. And this says a table. Again, this is a bunch of blank lines this instructor has put in there. So I'm skipping those because he'll need to address those himself. So this is a good example of something that this course has not been reviewed yet. And I picked these at random. I'm not picking on anyone. I don't have any idea who the instructor is here, but you would definitely want to go through and set the headings on the table, save and next. And so which part of the table should contain it? The top row, that's fine. Again, these are just a bunch of blank lines. There's a lot of design work that's going to have to go into this one. So I'm going to go ahead and close this one and we're going to run one more accessibility checker because I haven't seen any contrast yet. And I'd like you to see what that looks like. Again, see how easy this is to fix. As the instructor, if I was the instructor in that last course, I would have clicked on the page itself instead of just running the fix because obviously there's some issues on that page where he's going to need to get those images updated. Now, this one is not a migrated course. And so you can see there are several issues on this page. One of them, the template image customizations, is unpublished, so we don't have to worry about that. But you can see the types of issues that we have: duplicate links, skipped headings, alt text is missing for some images. And so I'm going to start on this home page and just look at that. Okay, this is a button, okay? And it says alt text is just a file name, but you can't use the file for an alt text. So what I'm going to say is this is a module 1 button and apply that. Now I've added alt text to that. I'm good to go. I fixed that issue. Yeah, here's another one. This one's module 4. You can also, if you decide that the image is just a decorative image, you can just click that it's decorative. Looks like he's got all of these buttons for the modules. And so that's what's coming up here. There's no alt text for those. All right, now, so here's a problem area, and this is a contrast problem area. The problem is here, this is the background is white and the foreground is white. So there's no text here. And so it's saying instead of it being white, we need to change it to be black. And so I'm going to change the text color. It did nothing because there's no text there. So it's an easy fix. There's no text there. There's our alt text again, module 3. All right, I'm going to just pick something else to fix. Okay, here's a good one. Missing table caption. All right. This is obviously the grading scale for this class. So that's what I'm going to put, grading scale. And we're going to add that caption to the table, save and next, on to the next one. Apparently he's got it up. Yep, I want the heading in the top row. And we fixed them all with that page. So I'm going to stop sharing real quickly and see, because I see some things in the chat. So this accessibility checker is very, very easy to use. Um, and I don't want to take up too much of your time here unless you have questions. So I'm just running through the chat. I don't see any questions in the chat. What questions do you guys have for me? If you are teaching a summer term course, this is something that you can do right now and get your course ready for summer running that accessibility checker. If you are waiting, if you put in a course to be migrated by K-16, those courses are due to be finished and available to you this week. So in the next day or two, you're going to see a whole bunch of your courses populate in Canvas, and you'll be able to get in and run this accessibility checker and make sure that we are meeting that April 24th deadline for our ADA compliance.
Cheri, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a good sense of what this does scan and what it doesn't scan in the
Yes.
Canvas? So, and can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you.
So it actually scans everything, including PDFs. If there's a PDF in there, it will scan that as well. What it does not scan is third-party tools. So if you're using a Macmillan or a McGraw-Hill integration somehow in your course, it will scan everything around it, but it can't reach out and go into those third-party tools. Um, for the most part, our third-party tools have to go through a pretty strict review process for accessibility. So I think that we're probably going to be okay on those, but that it will not, it won't reach out and it won't hit Pearson. It won't hit if you're using H5P, it's not going to scan the H5P content because that's a third-party app that's kind of integrated with us.
Cheri, I just wanted to clarify, when you say PDFs, you're talking about renderable PDFs, right? Not a picture PDF.
Well, that's right. And PDFs are accessible if the document that it was created from is accessible. So if you scan in a workbook page on a copier and then turn it into a PDF, that's not going to be accessible. There's nothing that's going to make that accessible. But I haven't seen anybody doing anything like that in any of the accessibility reports that I have been checking. And so I don't think we're going to have a huge problem with that. But if you take a Word document or an Excel file or whatever and you turn that into a PDF, this accessibility checker will check that content as well, because it's part of the course. See, look at this, Jennifer. We planned 45 minutes. It took me 15. This is not, this is, guys, this is a huge, powerful tool that Canvas has added that is going to check every single thing in your course and point you directly to the things that need to be fixed and even tell you how to fix it. Just, click this button to fix it. If you see something that looks weird to you, there are certain things like those blank lines that kept coming up when if you are, if you're creating something or if you've got a course that migrated and you click the enter button like 5 times because you want a bunch of white space there, a screen reader can't read that. They don't understand that you're hitting enter and you're putting a bunch of blank white space there. And so that's why the accessibility checker will call you out on that and say, hey, you need to say what this is. But again, just like I did, just say, okay, yes, let the accessibility checker know, let that screen reader know that this is just white space. And that fixes that issue as well. So, and remember too, I'm pretty sure I said it, but remember too that you only need to worry about published items in your classes. That migration log does not count against you or not count against MTSU in any way because students have no access to that. So if you have, for an example, if you have 3 or 4 different home pages that you want to use and one of them is published in this course, but the rest are not, I'd go ahead and run the checker on those, even though they're not published, because you might want to use them at a later date and we want them to be accessible. But standard things that are not shared with students, answer keys to your tests, things like that. If you have no intention of making those available to students, then you don't have to worry about um, fixing any accessibility issues on those pages.
And so Cheri, if I notice that I've got a page that has those 18, would you recommend using sticking with this screen for the accessibility checker, or should I go to the page and use the rich content editor checker? What's your best practice there?
So if it's simple, right? If it's 1 or 2 things, I would use the accessibility checker. But in the case for that arrow class that we were looking at, there was obviously a problem with those pages. Those images did not migrate correctly. So if you see that a page has 15 or 20 issues on one single page, I really think the thing to do would be to go directly to the page and look at it and put your eyeballs on it and see, oh, hey, none of these images are coming through, or, whatever the issue is. Most of the time, and again, I said I did 10 of these Friday in about 7 minutes. And I went through probably another 10 of them today looking for some to show you. And that's the only course that I saw that had that number of issues in it. That's the only one I saw. And so obviously I haven't checked everything. You may have some accessibility issues in an older course that's been around for a long time, hadn't been checked in a while. But this is a really good tool to get those fixed and corrected fairly quickly. Fairly quickly. It's gonna do a lot for us, especially since that 24th deadline is coming hard and fast, and we've got summer courses coming in. So, and yes,
Cheri, I was going to point out though that like I know with our template, there's a blue back like a blue box with some white text, and for some reason it always wants to change it to black. So just be aware that if just go back and check it still, because sometimes if you go back into that page and it gives you errors there, I would also, because you know that black on top of blue probably is not the best view for anybody. So there's still some difference, but overall the accessibility checker has been awesome. Just that's one big issue that I found was just that it changed a white text on top of it saying, oh, it needs to be black. And then it was harder to read. So just being aware and just double checking.
well, the important thing about about the mandate, about the federal mandate, the important thing about the Title II ADA regulations is that we have made an effort to make sure that our courses are accessible and to address any issues that are there. So even if you miss something in your course, and as long as we can show that you have run the accessibility checker and attempted to fix those issues, we're going to be in very, very good shape. And so that's why this is super important. And after this meeting, I will be sending out an email to anyone who's teaching a summer term class including this video and including some instructions on how to use that accessibility checker and reminding you to do that before your summer term classes start because it does not take long, I promise. It will not take you much time at all.
Cheri, I have another question. So
Mhm.
I was going through my Canvas and sort of, testing this out because it's so easy. Um, and one thing that I do is if rather than embedding a video in my course, I include like a link to the video because often, if there are closed captions or something like that, they don't always come through on the import, but they're sometimes there. But this would not check that to make sure that the videos that I'm linking, for instance, have closed captions or something
Yeah.
like that.
Mm.
No, it will not because it's an external link. You're sending them out. But I would suggest that you use Canvas Studio and host your videos there because Studio has automatically generated captions and they're set to, they run automatically. You don't have to do anything. And so your video will automatically, immediately be closed captioned and accessible if you just use that. And I spoke to someone, we have some other folks who are using YouTube, which is also fine. I have no dog in this hunt. But the YouTube captioning is more of a pain in the butt. Just letting you know. I talked to someone yesterday or the day before who created a 3.5 minute welcome video and then had to go in and edit all the captions in YouTube, and it took her forever. And so the captions are easy to edit in Studio if you'd like to edit them. If you have a complex course which has a lot of, if you're teaching biochemistry and you've got a lot of Latin terms in there, it might not be perfect with the captions, but the editing of those is so simple. It's like editing a Word document. You just click on the word and type. That's it. So I'm a huge Studio fan. Other questions?
This is more of a side question, but it's somewhat related as we're checking our courses. You also, I think you mentioned previously about the link validator and how that
That's right.
works in conjunction, but it's still different than the accessibility checker.
Yes,
Could you talk a little bit about that?
sure. I'll even show that if you like. So Canvas also includes, if you're using a bunch of external links, it has a link validator built in. And I can let's just pick a course here. And you can access this from your settings page in your course. It's all the way at the bottom on the right, and it says validate links in content. So this will be helpful for you guys that are using a lot of external links in your course. I don't think I'm using that many in this one, but we'll run it anyway. But this does the same thing. See, I knew I was good. Yeah, I don't have any broken links. I just wrote this course last week, so that's why there's no broken links. There hadn't been time for them to break yet. But yes, the link validator in your course settings page is a great, like, if you do have a lot of external links, that's another great tool.
Can you show me one more time where you found the link validator?
Go to your
I missed that.
settings. It's on the bottom left inside your course. And then when you click settings, the link validator is going to be on the bottom of the right-hand menu.
And Cheri, would you share your screen one more time for our visual learners on that?
I see it. Thank you.
Hold on. Where am I? Settings. And it's all the way here at the bottom. Validate links in content.
And I think just as you said, that those third-party integration might show up as an error in the link checker as well, just because the systems don't necessarily have access. Canvas doesn't necessarily have access because it's a student-based version. Is that correct?
Actually, it should. Let's just see. Let's run a link checker on this one that we just did. I'm not sharing again. Hold on. Usually when you're using the LTI, Karen, and it's coming through as an assignment or something like that, usually that does not go against your link validation because the LTI is it's a different type of link. It's an integration link. But if you do have your teacher link or something in the first module, link to McGraw-Hill's teacher resources or something like that, it will check those. Come on.
While we're waiting, I'll just ask another similar related question. If a link does break, let's say in your course, as throughout in the semester and you haven't caught it, is there a way that Canvas would notify you if somebody tried to get to something and it's not accessible or not available?
Unfortunately, no. You have to count on your students to tell you that they clicked a link and it didn't go anywhere. Um, like I said, you can do this at any time. I mean, but I think doing it at the beginning of the term is enough. Running your link checker, running your accessibility checker at the beginning of the term. And again, even though this is loading, I'm going to go back and go back to where is my, hold on, my accessibility checker. And see, you can still see the report. It's still here. And the ones that we fixed are still fixed. And so when you go back to your settings and you go back to validate the links in that content, the report will still be there. You'll still have access to that. And it looks like this has a lot of stuff in it, so there may be some links that need to be fixed as well. Here we go. And so when you see this link checker, again, this takes you exactly to the page where the problem is. There's a lot of broken links in this class. This instructor's got some work to do. I probably picked a really bad course, but it may not even be one that's in use now. But you can see it takes you exactly to where you need to go and tells you which links are not working. So, and those are always there when you go back. When you fix your issues, you can run that again and it'll reduce the number of issues that you have there on the report. Any other questions? Yeah, it's very, Lisa says it's very fast. It's a pretty fast process. It's about as fast as you could possibly get to get those corrected. Okay, well, if you have no questions, feel free to go forth and do good. Um, I will hang out here for a little while. So if you have questions and you don't want them to be recorded or anything, I'll stay on the line a little bit. Thank you guys for coming, and I'll follow up with an email as well.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Cheri.